Okay. Salute to Hollywood Unlocked. Salute to Jason Lee. Um, so this was an interesting story that I came across. Japan's government plans to launch a dating app to combat the declining birth rates. So I know I speak about this not in my day to day life, but when I'm having a conversation with some people, and people think it's a joke, but there really is just a decline in how many people are being born in this day and age. Like it's not even a joke. And apparently, some places are trying to combat this. So it said Japan's fertility rate is reportedly declining. It's reached a new low of 1.2, decreasing from the 1.20, decreasing from the 1.26 last year. The Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare stated that 2.1 fertility rate is needed for country to maintain its population. That's interesting. I didn't know that part. According to CNN, the lowering birth significantly affects Japan's workforce, economy, welfare systems, and social structure. The Japanese government has taken in innovative measures to encourage marriage and family growth amongst its citizens. This includes providing housing subsidies for families, incentivizing couples financially to have children, and expanding daycare facilities. The Tokyo Metropolitan Government has also initiated a different approach by launching a government-run dating app. The dating app reportedly encouraged Tokyo residents to go marriage hunting. I like that. By using an AI-operated matchmaking system that suggests potential partners based on the values diagnostic test. I would love to, man. I might have to do some more investigation. What is the values diagnostic test? The test, although I guess I would have to be Japanese resident. This test assesses the user's preference and values, aiming to develop more meaningful connections beyond superficial criteria. The app is intended for individuals over 18, singles residing or working in Tokyo, and generally interested in marriage. Yeah, this is actually going to be a slightly recurring theme to the podcast. And last podcast, we were also talking about, what should we call it? Dating app. So it's nice, a lot of recurring themes on our podcast in general. But yes, and also before we actually get into the topic, again, the reason why this fascinates me, because me, I love data, and again, this is something I spoke about before, and it's not just something we're talking about. It's not something we're just talking about to fearmonger. Pull up that the other link with this, just give people some additional data and a depiction of what it looks like.
Oh, this is a data joint.
Yes. Okay. So according to the World Bank, the worldbank.org.
World Bank
The,
Group.
this is fertility rates, total birth per woman, United Nations Population Division, World Population Prospects. This is for 2022. It's based off 2022, but trust me, it's because it's pretty much. So what we're currently looking at, let's see if it looks good on the stream. What we're currently looking at is the world population. So that's the fertility rates from the 1960s to up until this day and age. If you go to the top of it, there's like a search. I think there's like a search bar somewhere. No, not the bar.
Oh,
I thought when I was looking up, like you could. Oh yeah, there you go. So you can also punch in by the respective. You can punch in like different things, but like so. Let's confirm what this article talking about. Punch in Japan. So just like they were saying, it's looking kind of bad for Japan over the years, and I don't know what happened in the 1960s, but holy, something happened.
jeez. Yeah.
And if you want to even compare it, because if to where what's more relevant to us, punch in United States.
I like this site a lot.
So yeah, even in the United States, you can see like this over time, it's just gone down. And admittedly, I guess if you want to be realistic and like not super exaggerate, it's been a plateau within a somewhat of a plateau in the recent like decades. But
Yeah.
still, like when you compare it to what it used to be, it ain't it's completely it's on the downslope. And there's obviously a number of contributing factors. I think some of the biggest ones being like uh, birth control. They having birth control. Marriage in general is just down. People are waiting longer to procreate. There's a wide range of factors, and all contributes to how we are here. And like I said, I think we're pretty much done with this. You can go back to the post. It while we don't necessarily notice it in our day to day, like this over an extended period of time, definitely results in like impacts all those things that I mentioned, like the social structure, the economy, the workforce. So all that to say that a government's taking action, and one of the ways they're taking action is this dating app. So I guess all that to say, what do y'all think of this initiative to combat this? Would you use a government ran slash maintained dating app? Does that sound copacetic, or do you think when it comes to mating, that should be a completely individual thing, and there should be no governmental system involved? What do you think, Ace?
I am for some reason I'm like my mind just gets like conspiratorial or
I'm
conspiracy
sure
theory.
you and a lot of other people.
Yeah. When I consider the government having any involvement in uh like fostering relationships between people.
You wouldn't
Um
trust your government to pick your future wife?
well, yeah, that's the thing. I don't really know why I would be against it any more than any other app, because with an app or just with a third party whatever dating app, the incentive there is definitely to keep you on the app because that's how the app makers will make money, unless there's some other.
Well, I don't think the purpose of this app is to make money. I
No,
know that
exactly, that's my
I know that
point.
is how
That's
it is
my
in
point.
general, but I don't know about this one.
That's my point. With a government app, they like they don't necessarily have that incentive, or at least they they do have a an alternative incentive that's like clearly stated. The the, the issues with population decrease, um and being able to take care of the elderly and all this stuff, it's a very real issue for the government. So they do have an alternative incentive, or at least like a viable one, that or believable one. um so like technically you could probably say the government app, um like there's more incentive, at least for you to get a match, than with the regular dating app. Or at least the reasoning there is, or the point can be made, or whatever the reasoning there can be
Mm.
concluded. um so that being the case, I don't know, I could probably be convinced to use a government dating app. And also the whole AI thing too, like that is interesting. And I always my mind will always go back to Black Mirror, and like one of my favorite episodes, um when I think about AI and dating apps in general. I see it just as a like a very, I don't know, compelling, or potentially compelling, potentially um useful, I don't know, way to implement AI. It could potentially be good. We don't know for sure, but maybe it could help.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I'm not gonna say like I'm totally against it. I just will say that my natural reaction, like most other people, is probably like cautiousness, and I can't even put my finger on why. Like, the um, what would be the nefarious thing that the government would do? Um,
And it doesn't
having
necessarily always have to
discrimination.
be come down to like it being like a devious or nefarious purpose. Like some people just literally don't doesn't want the government involved in certain decision making. Some people believe government in state or whatever you call it individual things should be separated. The government shouldn't be
Yeah,
involved in like where you spend your money or what you do with this or that or this or the other.
yeah. I mean, that in and of itself, to me, for this is not necessarily like that's not what would push me away. Just like I a general philosophy that the government should be involved. I don't really
What if they
push
what if
anything.
what if they made it a mandate? If you're not married by 35, you gotta get on the app.
Uh that would be interesting. That would probably be more problem. I mean, that would definitely be more problematic. But yeah, overall, like just in the way that is proposed right now, I don't have any issue from that standpoint. I would have to come up with some some reasoning that does seem to me to be um not necessarily nefarious, but like an ulterior motive that I'm not in agreement with, for me to really take a stance against it.
Fair enough. Obviously, from the government perspective, they're obviously going to dole it out like it is a wholly positive thing. So we might not know some of the other ways it doesn't necessarily help people. What about you, Ghost? Are you cool with the government funded, government maintained dating app? You down to find your wife on that type of app?
I'm kind of on the same side as Ace in that theoretically there shouldn't be anything wrong with something like this, especially because dating apps, like Ace mentioned, are kind of incentivized to keep you on the app to make money, whereas on the surface level, their government app is incentivized to get you married. But I don't think I would go for
Well,
this for
technically, they're trying to get people to procreate is what the real long term
true.
goal is.
Yes, that
Yeah,
is
that's a
true.
good point.
But I don't think I would go for it because there's a few things that are probably too paranoid, too conspiracy theory esque. But like I have just in thinking about this the past couple of minutes, I have multiple different scenarios that I think could feasibly happen, and I might be going a little overboard, a little 1984. But for one, if the government is has this app and their AI program is controlling who you see on the app and they're trying to get you matched with this specific type of person, this just leads into a whole minefield of eugenics and population control and what type of demographics do they want having children and uh, I feel like what type of not even social classes, but racial classes. Do they want more white people having babies than black people, or like that? That's just one aspect. And again, it could be like
I mean,
this. These
I
concerns
don't
could
read any
be.
of that from this, but I mean,
But the thing is that they want the whole problem is stemming from on the surface that they're not. There's just not enough children being born. But let's say that this app leads to a boom in children,
yeah,
but it's in a lower class, from the lower class, and they don't want that. They want more upper class families to be having children. What's to stop them from juking the program? Because I mean, there's data everywhere that is being sold, being bought. They're gonna
this is
have
some
access to
real
your data
conspiracy
if the
shit.
government is running this, especially if they can just go based off your census data. What's to stop them from juking the AI to behind the scenes match you with less idealistic partners versus a different class type of person that they do want having children and they give them the more ideal match. That's one thing. And again, this could
That's
be
true.
like based in nothing, but
I don't know if it is,
I
but
feel like
how that was a good point.
I think it is
it,
because he's using the proposed reason for the app to come up with a scenario that stems from that reason. Like, I think it is a legitimate thing, and it doesn't like you can't necessarily apply it to third party dating apps because again, the incentive is not necessarily to get you hooked, it's or to get you matched, is to keep you on the app. So they don't really have an incentive to increase the population. Um,
Yeah, like
I,
in this case, I feel like the greedy capitalist society we live in kind of works for the dating apps that are privately owned, in my opinion, because yeah, they want to make money, but it's kind of transparent their goals. Whereas with the government,
well,
if
that's
you're
that's
not
not
trying to make
transparent. I would
money,
say
then say it again.
it's not necessarily transparent one.
I mean, at the end of the day, for these companies, it boils down to making money. Like they might have ulterior motives and stuff and different ways of going about it, but that's really what they're concerned about.
This is true,
And
but making money doesn't necessarily have to equal you stay on the app forever. But it's fine.
yeah, that is true, but I'm just speaking from like what their end goal at the end of the day is to make money. If that's to keep you on the app, to make you maybe get a match and then talk about the app to other people, free advertisement, whatever. But with the government app, there isn't that transparency, and if there's something free and it's come from the government,
I mean, they are being
odds are
transparent. It's just you just don't believe
there's
it.
no, they're not, because this is government we're talking about. They say that it's because of the declining fertility rate.
Which we
Government
which we looked
says
at the data, which is correct.
okay, that may be one of the reasons, but that might not be all of the reasons. Like the government does shit. Everything they do is for a reason. And again, I this could be just in this case, it is just for the fertility rate, but they could have some ulterior. See, like the whole eugenics thing, it's definitely conspiracy theory esque,
Very
but
not conspiracy theory. It is
the
a
U.S.
whole conspiracy
government
theory.
has they have been is proven caught multiple times doing shit that is heinous and very shady for their own purposes and that we don't know about at the surface because they told us one thing and they wanted it for this one thing, sure, but maybe that was only 25% of the reason. The other 75% it was leading toward this. So I don't know. That's just the way I look at it. And another thing is that what happens when the government meets that threshold, like that 2.1% threshold or whatever
Yeah.
for fertility rate, are they just going to deactivate the app? Are they going to pretend that it's still in service and just secretly stop giving people the ideal matches?
Well,
Like,
2.1 is just what's needed to maintain. Obviously, I think society has a number where it's things are super optimal. Like there's
well,
probably
yeah,
the
but
rate that they actually want to be at is probably much higher than that.
that's the thing. This
And
that's
then yeah,
literally
if they do
this is
reach their
literally population control because if you get past like the 2.1 is just kind of like a general number, but let's say this app is a wild success, it shoots up, fertility rate goes up to 5%. Then we
yeah,
have a
you take the app
situation
down. What's the problem?
it's literally population
I mean, it's
control.
population control to put out an app in the first place. They're trying to boost
I'm
it.
saying I don't know. And then what happens when it becomes too successful and then they institute the China one child family rule?
I mean, it sounds like some dystopian stuff, but like they do that. Like societies, that's what societies do. Once if your society is like growing in one direction or another, or shaping in one direction or another, then you implement policies or like incentives to change it on the other way around. Like that's just
We've
what.
seen how government incentives and policies can widely wildly affect different groups of people. I'll leave
This
it at
is
that.
this is true. Which I guess it just fundamentally comes down to like if you trust your government or not. I guess this is what
Yeah, I
that's
suppose.
what
Yeah, in this case,
that's what it
I'm
boils
looking
down
at
to.
this from the U.S. government perspective, where yeah, trust is at a absolute
mm,
minimum. But maybe Japan's government is different. I don't
Which
know
is
nothing about Japanese government, but
which is
whenever
fine.
there's people in power, I'm always going to be skeptical.
We were just talking about it in a general sense. Ultimately, Um, like we said, we looked
Yeah,
at
we
the.
kind of got off track, but
Well, no, I was curious to know if there was like any like reasons why somebody would be hesitant. It seemed like but like I said, it seemed like it just boils down to like a person or people not trusting government or not and having conspiracy theories about it. It doesn't seem like there's anything like pretty like unanimous. We can all look at this and be like, oh wait, this is a bad idea, which is fine.
yeah,
Um, but like I said, we did look at the data. So I mean, ultimately, it kind of boils down to do you have a solution or not, and this is the government solution, as well as the other things they did.
yeah. I think the other
They
things
did
you're
say
doing along with this, it does help. It does kind of lean towards that they're not trying to be shady. They're really just trying to boost the birth rate.
yeah, and like incentivizing people to have families, probably paying people to have children at this point, providing free daycare or daycare alternatives or whatever the case would be. So, hey man, it is what it is. Hey man, it's either get on this dating app and find a mate, and or you go extinct. Pick what you want.
Yeah, they could just outlaw birth control in Japan and go that
Ooh,
route.
now
Because
you see.
if they're really just concerned about fertility, you don't need to be married to have kids, in theory.
See, now that's some 1984 shit.
Yeah, this is a better alternative than that. So I guess lesser of two evils.
I think they
Absolutely.
did say something about marriage though. The app is intended for individuals over 18, single, residing and working in Tokyo, who are genuinely interested in marriage.
Hmm.
Because again, like if you do consider the surface level reasoning, they don't want to. They don't want a population of um, children who have a lower um, chance of becoming successful citizens or productive, I should say, citizens like out the gate because they're from single family or whatever. I mean, single parent household or anything like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, like I said, it's the purpose is well, the long term purpose is so people procreate more. Obviously, they want people to get married, stay in those marriages, and then have children. Which obviously, increases the chances of having a contributing member of society. Anyway, there's more dating app and honestly mate selection and procreating topics to talk about. So there's nothing else. We can move on to the next topic.